Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tegan Nagafuji, and I would like to thank you for attending this morning's Dharma family service. We will begin this service with a moment of quiet sitting. Our minister's assistant, Tara, will strike the bell, and we will sit for 1 to 2 minutes to quiet our minds and prepare to hear the Dharma. She will then strike the bell again, and we will continue with the service.
Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Namanda. Namanda.
Tara will now chant the Sanbutsuge, which is on page 79 of the Purple Service Book.
Namanda. Namanda. Kogen gigi ijin mugoku nyo zen nyo muyo tosha nichi gatsu mani shuko en nyo kai shitsuon pe yunyaku jumoku nyorai yogen chose murin shogaku daion koru jippo kaimon shojin sanmai chie itoku muryo shushokeu jintai zennen shobutsu hokai gujin no kugogai tai mumyo yokunu seison yomu nin no shishi jintoku muryo kukun kodai chie jinmyo komyo iso shindo daisen ganga sabut zai shoho kado shoji mifugetat fusejoi kainin shojin nyoze sanmai chie ijo gose tokubutsu fugyo shigan isai kuku isadai on keshi ubu yakusen nokuman muryo daisho shunyo goja kuyo isai shito shobutsu funyo gudo kensho fuga inyo goja shobutsu zekai bufu kage mushu setsundo komyo shisho hen shisho koku nyoze shojin ijin nanyo yoga sabutsu Namandas,
Namandas,
namandas, namandas, namandas,
Namandas,
namandas.
Namandas.
Please rise if you are able to follow along with the Gatha Like Blossoms, which is on page 208 of the Purple Service Book. Please remain standing for the reading of the Golden Chain too. I will now recite the Golden Chain 2, which is on page 15 of the Purple Service Book. Please feel free to follow along. Golden Chain 2. I am a link in the Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You may be seated. We will now have a children's Dharma message by Reverend Dr. Jeff Wilson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for picking me up. Yes, surprise. The role of Reverend Kuwahara will be played by some rando from Canada today. Myself, Jeff Wilson, a last-minute swap in. It's lovely to be here with you again. It's been a couple of years and a little more since the last time I was here. I remember I gave a children's Dharma talk about a man being chased by a tiger, over a cliff. There may be some kids here who remember, or others who wish to forget, who knows. So I'll tell another story here today. This is another traditional story, so hopefully it hasn't been told recently here. If it has, maybe I'll do it better, you never know. This is a story that takes place a long, long time ago in India. And there was a king and his wife, and she gave birth to a baby. And they had lots of court magicians back at the time and astrologers. So they would always check the stars and try to get a prediction. So what's this baby going to be like? What's their life going to be like? And so the astrologers all said, Your Royal Highness, this is going to be an amazing prince. who's going to grow up to be strong and brave and is going to become a master of all 5 traditional weapons of warfare and everything. So maybe that was true, and they really had that power to look at the stars and figure that out. Or maybe when you're hired by the king, you kind of tell the king what the king wants to hear. I don't know which. It's not my story. So anyways, that's what they said to him. So they said, oh, great. Well, we're going to name him Prince 5 Weapons in that case. So, just imagine if your name was 5 Weapons. It's kind of a strange name, and it's a lot to live up to, too, because what if you've been named Prince 5 Weapons and then you grew up to be a pacifist or something, or it'd be kind of awkward, or, maybe you just had some other job. So, anyways, so they named him 5 Weapons, and then as he grew up, they sent him away to another city where there was a great master of weaponry to teach him how to sort of fulfill his destiny. So he trained really, really hard, and he became a master of all 5 traditional Indian weapons. And then, so because he had sort of reached this point, it was time for him to go back to his original birth kingdom and join the royal court there and so on. So he sets out on the road, and he's going along, and he is going on this path. He comes to a little village, and the path then leads on into a great big forest. And he's getting ready to go in there, and people say, "Oh, wait, what are you doing? Don't go in there. Nobody takes that path. Nobody goes that way. You got to go the really long way around the entire big rainforest." So he says, "Well, why is that? Got a path right here. This is the most direct route for me to get home." They say, "You don't understand. There's a terrible monster who lives in the forest. His name is Sticky Hair." And again, 5 Weapons, Sticky Hair, I don't know. You just end up with the names your parents give you. So Sticky Hair is in there, and he attacks anyone who goes in there. He'll gobble you up. You've got to avoid him. But Prince 5 Weapons says, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll be fine." So he sets off on the path into the forest. So he's going along, and it's actually a lovely forest, and there's birds and everything. He's having a good time walking along. But suddenly, it's like boom, boom, boom. Loud noises getting closer and closer, right? If you've ever seen a Godzilla film, you know what's coming. The monster is arriving here. So sure enough, out of the gloom comes Sticky Hair. He's this enormous monster. He's as tall as the tallest tree in the forest. He's covered in hair, long, sticky, very sticky hair. So obviously he needs shampoo, but there's no shampoo in the forest, so he's got this extremely sticky, matted hair. He's got these long yellow tusks that are really sharp. He's got great big eyes like dinner plates, so he's pretty scary looking. And he sees the prince, and he says, "Ah, foolish human, you shouldn't have come in here. Now I'm going to gobble you up." But the prince isn't scared. He says, "It is you who should be frightened. Beware." And he takes out his first 2 weapons, his bow and his poison arrows. It counts as 2 weapons, okay? So he shoots him right at the monster's heart with a poison arrow. He goes, and just sticks in the sticky hair and doesn't actually penetrate his body and doesn't hurt him. So Prince 5 Weapons is a persistent sort of person. He has 50 of these arrows in the story, so he shoots him 50 times, and they all just stick in the hair. So the monster's like, "Aha, I'm going to eat you now." And Prince 5 Weapons says, "Hold on, I'm Prince 5 Weapons, not 2 weapons. I've got more to do here." So he pulls out his sword. He's got a long sword. He rushes up, and he strikes Sticky Hair right in the body with this sharp, sharp sword, which just sticks in the hair. It's like armor. He can't actually hurt this monster. So the monster's like, "Now I'm going to eat you." It's like, "Hold on, wait a minute, got 2 more." So pulls out his spear, throws the spear right at the monster, point blank, and goes into the hair and sticks in the hair, right? So then he pulls out his club, he swings it, he strikes the monster. You can probably guess what's going to happen at this point, right? It just sticks in the sticky hair of the monster, does not hurt Sticky Hair at all. So then Sticky Hair is like, "All right, it's dinner time." But the prince says, "Hold on, those are just the weapons that I brought with me. I can still defeat you. So he winds up and he punches the monster as hard as he can. And his fist gets stuck in the sticky hair. So then he winds up and he punches him with the left fist. And that now he's stuck with both hands. Okay, he can't even run away. Well, he can't run away, so he might as well keep going. So he kicks the monster with his right foot. And now his foot is stuck. And he kicks him with his left foot. Now he's stuck at 4 points on the monster. You would think he would give up, but no. He's Prince 5 weapons, not Prince Albert Einstein IQ genius guy. Okay, so he rears back and he headbutts the monster as hard as he can. Bam! And now his face is stuck in the hair too, which I'm sure was very enjoyable. So here he is just clinging on, and the monster's kind of like exasperated at this point. Like, you know, boy, I haven't had to wait this long and put up with so much just to get a meal in a long time. So he says, now you're in big trouble. Finally, I'm going to eat you. I don't understand why you were attacking me and you weren't even scared. It's totally futile. What are you doing? But the prince says, he probably says like this because he's got his face in the hair. But anyways, so he says, oh, I'm not frightened at all. Really, all those attacks, those were just to drive you away. I'm in no danger whatsoever. If you swallow me, I have something inside me, a secret, which is as hard as a diamond and is sharp. And if you swallow me, then you'll be cut up from the inside and you will die. You're the one who's in danger here. So the monster is perplexed by this and thinks about it and says, you know, he really has been very persistent and very confident. I've never met anyone like him. Perhaps there is something inside of him that I don't understand, and I should be careful. So he reaches down with his long claws and he plucks 5 weapons out of his sticky hair and he puts them on the ground. He says, I'm going to be careful, but you're a very strange person. You should probably just go away. I'll go the other way. Don't tell anybody I let you go because, like, you know, it'll hurt my credit. You know, I'm supposed to be a big monster, eats everybody. But I really don't understand why you weren't afraid. And the prince says, I don't have to be afraid. I understand what is going on in this situation. But you should be afraid. You go about your whole life attacking people, doing harm, eating people, whereas I was only using my weapons to scare you away. I don't actually hurt people. But for you, you're creating a lot of bad karma for yourself, and you're living in a mind that's full of hunger and full of anger and this sort of thing. So you're the one who will have bad consequences because of this. So the monster thought about that and said, well, I've been busy eating people, so no one's ever preached the Dharma at me before, so I hadn't thought about this. He decides to become a good monster, so he becomes a protector of the forest and of the people, and people are allowed to go back in, and the people in the village are no dummies. They start like bringing regular food and just making offerings to him, so he doesn't get so hungry he goes back to eating people, and they basically all live happily ever after. So then the question is, what is it that the prince had inside of him? What was it that enabled him to do this and something the monster didn't have? Now, if you remember when I told the story about the man being chased by the tiger, I said, well, some people think it means this, or some people think it means that, but it could be various things. You'll have to decide for yourself. Think about it. Maybe talk to your friends, your family about that story. Figure out what it meant about the man hanging over the cliff chased by the tiger. So I'll just pull the same trick again and say, rather than explain precisely what it is that was inside of him that made him strong and confident and something that the monster lacked, I'll let you think about it and try to maybe discuss it and think what you yourself conclude might have been behind this story. So that's our children's Dharma talk. Good luck with that. If you can't figure it out, it's still got monsters, so it's still a good story. So thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Jeff Wilson, for your wonderful message for the students. Please rise if you are able to follow along with the Gatha, Many But One, which is on the handout. Please be seated. Now we will like to welcome the following guests. And I don't think there is any, but yeah. Okay, I will now read the announcements that have been submitted. The BBT Dharmanar monthly online session is Thursday, April 30th at 6:30. The topic is Amida Buddha. The sign-up link is on our website. Online meditation and discussion is Wednesday, May 20th at 7 p.m. The sign-up link is also on the website. Next Sunday, May 3rd, the service will be held at the Jodo Shinshu Center due to the bazaar construction taking place at the temple. Live streaming won't be available for the service. The JSC parking will be available. The gate will open at 9 a.m. and close at 9:30 sharp. Please arrive during this period to take advantage of the JSC parking for the Sunday service. It's time for Satsuki Bazaar. One day only, Sunday, May 17th from 11:30 to 5 p.m. Website. Find all the latest updates on our BBT Satsuki Bazaar website. Work schedule is published and has lots of open shifts. Please let Karen Kato know if you or your friends or family can take an extra shift as soon as possible. Pre-order BBQ steak dinner. Don't wait to reserve your steak dinner. See the website to pre-order. Bazaar fundraiser. Please help us update appliances. See the new freezer in the old temple facilities and contribute to day-to-day operations. If able, please see the website to donate before the bazaar. All donations are appreciated. Online silent auction. Last-minute donations over $50 can still be made. Please ask your favorite restaurant or store for a gift certificate. The silent auction will be online to start bidding on May 1st and will conclude at the bazaar on Sunday, May 17th at 3 p.m. Yummy food, taiko, hula, and kids games. Bring the family for a day of fun and come hungry. Bake sale. We appreciate donations of cookies, mochi, bars, and snack mix for the bake sale. Okay. Now the students will be dismissed to their classes. Would Dharma School students please go to the front, gasho, and go to the classroom? All others are invited to remain for the adult Dharma talk.
Good morning, everyone. ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. So today we are so fortunate to have a special guest speaker, Jeff Wilson Sensei. Actually, he was at the Jodo Shinshu Center for a special event on Friday. On Friday. And I had a chance to have a dinner with him. And then he said, "Oh, I'm available Sunday." Really? And then so I kind of invited Jeff Sensei to come as a guest speaker. We invited Sensei 2 years ago. 2 years ago here. But actually this weekend I was supposed to be in Canada. But schedule has changed. So that's why I'm here. And then coincidentally, Sensei, Reverend from Canada is here. So anyway, so Jeff Sensei, maybe some of you know this book. When これいつだったっけ? 2009. So this book was published in 2009. This is so Jeff Sensei's books are really easy to read. So and then the recently 3 years ago, 2003. 23. This is another book, Living in Nembutsu, applying Shinran's radical engaged Buddhism in life and society. So now he's teaching in the University Waterloo in Canada. And then also Sensei took ordination 2012. But when I was in Kyoto 2006 as a staff of Honganji, our Mother Temple headquarters, he was there as a researcher. So almost 20 years friendship. And then because of our karma. So we are so fortunate to have Jeff Sensei as a guest speaker. So I hope you will enjoy his Dharma message today. はい、じゃあ先生よろしくお願いします。
So, hello again, everyone. Hold on, I'm just going to clear off a little bit of this here. So, I am as surprised as you are to see me here speaking this morning. This was not part of anybody's plans, but too late now, you're stuck with me. So, we're going to have another Dharma talk from myself. I think that's doing pretty good, but I just feel like it. There we go. All right. I'm very glad to be back here at the Berkeley Temple. You just heard the circumstances about how I came to be speaking with you. I do really enjoy visiting different temples whenever I travel, though. This is something I've been doing a long time. I've visited a very significant percentage of the temples in the United States and in Canada. My family can confirm that for you. When we go to Hawaii on vacation, they all want to go swimming at the beach and sightseeing in the mountains and so on. But I always drag them all over the islands, looking at obscure little Buddhist temples, tucked away here and there. They're probably pretty sick of this. By the time that my kids were in grade school, they'd probably been to more temples than most people visit in their lifetimes, frankly. Even when I was doing my dissertation fieldwork, I would take my firstborn was already born by that time, was a baby. So I would take this baby with me in the baby stroller when I was visiting with Buddhist groups doing my fieldwork, and that was okay because it so happened they were a very placid child, very, very calm, no trouble at all. And so my wife and I were certain that we were like the best parents ever because of this. But of course, I was setting myself up for a certain type of karma with this sort of thinking. So all that temple visiting with babies had to stop when my second child came along because they were what's called with the technical term a terror. So that was somebody that I really couldn't easily manage. I remember coming into the nursery one morning. They were maybe about a year and a half old. And they have a crib there. It's by the window, and the curtain hangs down there, to keep it dark and everything. So they had managed to grab onto the curtain and had climbed up the curtain, this baby, and was way up near the ceiling, just clinging on there like a monkey. And it was like a cat in some old cartoon strip, where they like go up in the tree and then they can't come back down. So you have to call the firefighters to go up on a ladder and bring them down, that sort of thing. I always thought, okay, that's like something that happens in like, comic strips or something. But like here was this kid just clinging up there. So this kid was just really a handful, and it would have been bad karma to inflict that sort of child on a temple. So, it was one of the sort of situations where I would have like looked away for a moment, like to talk to a monk or something, look back, the kid would have been sitting on top of the Buddha. So it's like, I cannot do that. So I stopped bringing them around. Anyways, I didn't actually come all the way here from Ontario to like gossip about my children. So I'll try to put the Dharma talk back on track. What I actually want to do is reach back into some of my experiences and tell you about a little something that happened to me a couple of years ago. This was in the later part of the summer of 2024, so it was after I had been here the last time. I went on a big river rafting trip. This was 12 days in the wilderness, rafting in the Yukon, northern British Columbia, and into Alaska for the second part of the trip there. This was my parents' idea. They'd already done this same trip 3 different times over the years, and they talked about how great it was and how much they loved to do it. And so they invited me and other members of the family to go on this trip with them, and I thought, well, there's a limited amount of time. You get to see glaciers. There won't be glaciers necessarily in the future. I get to go with my parents. They're aging. I won't be able to do adventures with them. So I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to go all the way from Eastern Canada to Alaska and go on this river trip with them. And we took, it was my parents and my brother, a couple of my cousins, my oldest, the placid child who could do this sort of thing. They're all teenagers at this point anyways, but still, their friend and 3 of my parents' friends and then me. So like it was all of us on one trip. We didn't have any like outsiders or strangers. So it was really something we could book all the seats. Of course, we had a few guides there to help us because we are not Bear Grylls. We're not adventurers who can go out there in the wilderness and so on our own. And this was really a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And that was great. And I'm not going to talk about that either. This is also just set up because as cool as that was, the actual Dharma talk I want to talk about is the experience of trying to get from Ontario all the way to the river in Alaska. It actually takes a lot of work to go from Waterloo, Ontario, to the riverbank, in the Yukon, actually. It's where we were setting out from. So this is over 3 full days of travel. There are 4 different plane flights, and then even a shuttle, like kind of a little mini bus you go through on the trail to get there and everything. And I was not excited about this travel at all. I don't really enjoy traveling all that much. I don't sleep very well in hotels, and we were in hotels for all these nights that we're trying to get to the river. I don't like to get up early. I don't like to be out of whack with, I'm on Eastern time zone, and Alaska is like however many zillions of time zones away, this sort of thing, right? I don't like having to scrounge for vegetarian food on the road, especially in Alaska, a red state. There's, not a lot of vegetarian food. And I don't like putting up with like the increasingly poor like experience of air travel these days, right? Where you pay for everything. One of these days, you're gonna have to pay for like an oxygen mask, this sort of thing, I'm sure. So all this I don't like. I was like, fine, I'll go to the river, but I'm not gonna like getting there. Like I basically decided in my mind I was gonna not like it. So on the 3rd day of traveling to the river, I'm in this room in Juneau, Alaska. And because we're so far north during the summertime, it never really actually got dark, like ever. It just kind of got dimmer very late at night and then got brighter again early in the morning. So I was really not getting enough sleep, and I dragged myself out of the bed because the clock told me it was time to get up, and I went to take a shower. Now, the room that I had been given, it happened to be a room with an accessible bathroom. So it had a sort of fold-out seat in the tub where somebody could sit down and wash themselves in the shower. And there were bars that stuck out that then somebody could pull themselves up with if they needed to. And the shower head in the shower, It had a long detachable hose that was on, so you could wash yourself while you were sitting. And because of that, the shower head was really low because somebody sitting down there needed to be able to reach it and bring it to themselves, right? So it's really, really low. It's like at nose height for me, the shower head. Now, I'm not using the thing. I'm standing there. So, like, here it is. And that meant that the only way that I was going to get the top of my head clean, I was going to have to lean way forward like this, right? So I'm in this bad mood. Oh, my gosh. I've been traveling and, and I didn't get enough sleep. And all these things, and now I have to do this, I'm basically doing gymnastics in the shower just to wash myself. So I had this sort of dark mind, right? Then as soon as I bent over, I had the experience that I was bowing to the shower head and to the water that was pouring down on me. So I'd been grumbling in my mind. And I hadn't slept much, actually, in 5 days, because not just all the travel, but even the anticipation for several days before I even left. So I had a week of very poor sleep, and I didn't like this bathroom with all those accessibility modifications. Because for me, an able-bodied person at the time, they were more like minor obstacles I had to navigate around. And I was really annoyed that the shower head was so low, and I was going to have to bend over and this sort of thing. But the moment that I was made to bow, everything changed. I suddenly became grateful that I was alive and thankful that I was so comfortable that my only worries were less sleep than I wanted and a bathroom that wasn't precisely perfect for me. These were actually the only real problems I had here, if you can even call them problems. Meanwhile, this low shower head that I was dealing with here, it was gushing water endlessly at exactly the temperature that I had chosen, nonstop, clean water, just to please me, right? That's the only reason it existed. The next day, I was going to be in the wilderness for 12 days with no hot water, heck, no running water at all, right? And at that point, I would consider a shower head 6 inches shorter than usual. That would be like heaven on earth under those conditions. I'd be like, please bring me the short shower head, especially by day 6 or 7 when I'm on the raft and my brother's on the raft and neither of us has had a shower in 6 days and you're crammed next to each other. So anyways, I knew I was going to be very happy that I had at least had this shower. And meanwhile, for nearly all of human history, there was no hot running water. There was no running water at all, right, of any type. Even today, right now, there's huge numbers of people all around the world who don't have access to reliable, clean water. And yet, here was all of the convenient, clean, warm, running water that I could ever want. Furthermore, I instantly became grateful to all these accessibility features. I was thinking, how wonderful these are. Because of them, my elderly parents, who were taking us on this trip and everything, they would be able to use this shower if they came back yet again in the future and were even less mobile than they were at that point, right? There were countless strangers, people who I didn't even know, never will meet, but nonetheless, all of them can come through and use this shower with dignity and independence because of those accessibility features. And indeed, if I'm lucky enough to live a long time, someday I'm going to be less mobile than I am now. In fact, already it's starting to show. My knees getting a little wonky, this sort of thing, right? So in the future, I'll be able to clean myself and feel fresh and feel good only because of the assistance of these accessibility features. So realizing all of this just suddenly, just like in a flash, in a moment, I said, Namanda, Namanda, right there in the shower without any hesitation. And so you may have noticed I'm not exactly a professional basketball player. In fact, I'm a fairly short person, a short man. Sometimes I resent that shortness. Many people feel that men should be tall and to make fun of or look down, kind of literally, on shorter men, right? But if I was taller, actually, it would have been even harder to wash myself in that accessible shower. So my height was actually a gift that was allowing me to take the shower that I wanted in the first place. And in fact, I've been grumbling about how I've been flying all these increasingly smaller airplanes for 3 days, right? And they were getting smaller, and the seats were getting smaller and getting more cramped and everything. My brother is younger than me, but he's much taller than me. Something he never lets me forget. So when we're on these planes, he's like a sardine in a can. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there, I'm not even thinking about it. I've been enabled by my height to just sit on the airplane and not have to worry about it, right? So suddenly I was very grateful for not being tall. Being me just as I was actually a really good thing. As I bowed to that water, I was made to realize just how many causes and conditions were operating and had been continuously operating in order to allow me to experience such a life as I've had. This is a life where my suffering consists of not quite enough sleep and a short shower head, boo-hoo, right? I was only in this situation because I'd chosen to go on a vacation and have an adventure with my own free will and have enough free time and money to do this sort of thing, right? All the good things that I had, such as a comfortable bed, access to actually a quite good restaurant in the lobby where I could eat, family to spend time with, time off of work, electric lights. I wasn't like showering in the dark, this sort of thing. Flushable toilet, we won't go into that. But all these things that I enjoyed, right? All these, plus the beauty of nature. That's why we were there. And the ability to experience that with friendly and capable guides who didn't let me get eaten by a bear, right? All of these and more, they flashed through my mind as I said the Nembutsu there in the shower. I felt very foolish at being the sort of person who grumbles about a shower head. But I felt so grateful to Amida Buddha for showing me that I am such a person. All of this realization of being benefited by the shower and by the water, of being benefited by my height and by my family, being benefited by the hotel rooms and the airplanes and the rafts, all of this awareness came about through the working of Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha is the compassionate light of wisdom that shines on me and illuminates the truth for me to see. The light of the Buddha is what allows me to see my situation as it is, and myself as I am. Even though I'm such a foolish person that I complain about accessibility features that help out other people, still the Buddha accepts me and points me towards the truth of liberation. Indeed, it's because I'm such a fool that the Buddha embraces me and guides me to wake up. Although the Buddha is constantly showing me the way, most of the time I ignore this compassion and I focus on my own self-centeredness. Even when I took that shower, the realization happened because as a Buddhist, I spent so much time bowing my head, right? And therefore, when my head was lowered in the shower, automatically, inevitably, the mind of humility and thankfulness appeared. It wasn't that I decided to be grateful and happy. It wasn't my choice to do these things. Rather, I was put into a situation and it came forward for me. All those times I bowed my head, that I put my hands together in Gassho, and that I've said the Nembutsu. These were moments when the Buddha was preparing me to receive the mind of realization. This is why ritual really matters in Buddhism. Ritual is not just empty gestures. Ritual is training us to become the sort of person who bows in recognition. In our very selfish, very disconnected, very chaotic modern society, that's actually a precious and a radical act. When we're enabled to become someone who bows and says the Nembutsu, then we enter the ever-flowing stream of the Dharma, and we're carried by the waters of liberation to experience peace, to experience gratitude and oneness in our inner togetherness with others in all things. floating on the easy path of the primal vow, we naturally become who we are, and we're brought to the Pure Land together with all others. So, in that moment, I was once again made to realize how wonderful the working of Amida Buddha is, and how fortunate we are to encounter the teachings of Shinran and soak in the Dharma. This was just a small moment in my life, but I remember it very well over a year later. Perhaps you've had some moments like this also in the past couple of years. If we pause and think back, maybe we'll recall some times when each of us were filled with gratitude and awareness. And, maybe if nothing comes to mind, then maybe today will be a day when we can bow our heads, receive the light of the Buddha, and remember how we're always supported and surrounded by great compassion. So this was the Dharma message that I wanted to share with you here this morning. Thank you so much for your attention and patience. Thank you to Sensei for allowing me to speak with you all. And I hope it'll not be too long before I see you all once again. Thank you. Maybe just put our hands together and say the Nimbutsu as we finish the talk. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Namo Amida Butsu.
Again, thank you again, Jeff Sensei, for being a speaker today. I think it's very important thing, gratitude, appreciation, kind of gifted from, the Dharma. So, but Jeff Sensei, although I didn't mention this, but usually we have a comment and a question time after Dharma message. Are you comfortable? Yeah, is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so if anybody has a comment or a question to Jeff Sensei, yeah. Maybe 5-10 minutes, just a short.
Yeah, I didn't realize I'm not off the clock yet. Okay. All right. Here's your chance to trip me up and prove me wrong. What do we want to talk about? Do we have any questions or just anything we want to share? Please.
Would you consider that the water faucet or the showering a bodhisattva?
I think we can look at it that way. So when we talk about bodhisattvas, there's a lot of different ways to talk about bodhisattvas. And in case we have any visitors, I apologize because I didn't define things in my talk. I'll go ahead now. A bodhisattva is a being that is working on becoming a Buddha, working on Buddhahood. So we have great respect for bodhisattvas. But then we can talk about bodhisattvas in different ways. So if I was at a Chinese Pure Land temple many years ago. Like I said, I go to a lot of temples. So I was bothering a nun at a Chinese temple and getting her to tell me about the Dharma. And she said something that stuck with me. She said that other people are like bodhisattvas for us. And I thought, oh, okay. Because I'd had a fairly literal thinking about this before, that you were a bodhisattva or you weren't a bodhisattva. Like if you were training to become Buddha and you'd taken bodhisattva vows and you'd advanced, there's 10 stages of bodhisattvahood in the classic Mahayana path, or if you'd made progress, then you were a bodhisattva. And if you hadn't done those things, then you were just a regular person, right? But when I received her point of view, I realized, okay, so someone or something's experience of themselves may not be as a bodhisattva, right? I definitely don't experience my life as a bodhisattva. I'm sitting there getting mad over like shower heads and everything, right? This is not what a real bodhisattva does, right? So my experience of life is not as a bodhisattva. But on the other hand, due to causes and conditions, I'm enabled to share the Dharma with you here today. And even though my level of realization might be like right here, someone else might take something that I happen to have said, take it further and develop better realization, and they might be here because of that, right? So in that way, I would have acted as a bodhisattva for that person. So I'm a bodhisattva, the relationship is, for them, I am a bodhisattva, even though for myself, I am a foolish being, right? So I'm not sure that the water is like gushing down, being like, check it out, I'm a very moist bodhisattva, and everything, right? It's just doing its water thing. But for me, my experience of it, I receive it as a bodhisattva gift, as a gift from bodhisattva in this way. So this is how I tend to think of these things, that there's a real subjectivity within Buddhism, because we think of like science as like telling us how the world is, and we sometimes talk about Buddhism or the Dharma as being like a science. But if it's a science, it describes how we are. It describes how our experience of things is. And that's very important because we are subjective beings, and coming to understand our subjectivity and how to manage that, that's very important for our level of happiness or unhappiness and the level of happiness or unhappiness we cause for others. So I think that maybe it's not objectively a bodhisattva, but it's subjectively a bodhisattva. And because my subjectivity is what matters, because I'm very self-centered, then yes, I would think of it in that way. So that was probably a long, complicated, confusing answer. Is there anyone else that I could confuse? Please.
On the day of and on the days following service, I think it's very easy to feel that sense of gratitude and have a calm mind. But as the days go on, I think this ability to feel like your mind is always calm and grateful fades away.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, how can we learn to have a stable mind that is always compassionate indefinitely? How would you go about it?
Excellent question. The answer is you can't. I'm so sorry. So it's a joke. I'm being a little flip, but actually it's true, right? So there's two models to Buddhism classically, right? There's the model of Buddhists who try to do what you're saying here. They try to cleanse the mind entirely, right? They try to follow the precepts completely without ever doing anything wrong. They try to radiate loving kindness in all of their relations with everyone at every point in every day, right? And they try to truly become Buddhas in this life. This is what we call the path of sages, people who are working to become a sage, not an ordinary person, a sage, something different. That is very noble. That is really a beautiful, wonderful ideal, and I commend the people who try hard to do that. But the truth of the matter is, they're very unlikely to succeed, because what we are like is what you described. When we're in the right situation, we become enabled to be reflective, enabled to be kind, to be peaceful, this sort of thing. It isn't something we really do. If it was something in us, we wouldn't need to come to the temple. We wouldn't need to hear the Dharma. We wouldn't need to encounter the Buddha in order to do it, if it was our own power to do that. It's because of things beyond us, which ultimately originates in the Dharma, that comes to us from Amida Buddha. This is where we're enabled temporarily to do so. But precisely because it's environmental conditions that help to bring that about for us, when the environmental conditions change, and they always will, because this is samsara, and the first things the Buddha said was that everything changes all the time, and it's from that suffering arises, right? So it's natural that, like, on Sunday you're like, whew, I'm bodhisattva, like level 10, and then maybe on Monday you go to work and you're like, well, I might be bodhisattva about level 3 at this point, right? By Tuesday you're like, well, I'm decent, and by Wednesday, forget it, you're back to normal, right? And many of us have a much steeper decline than that, right? So then you've got to go recharge again on Sunday if you make it that long, right? So that's normal. That's actually what we're like. And it's because of that there is a second approach to Buddhism. This is what we call the path of Pure Land, right? This is a type of Buddhism that doesn't say, you must become a sage, that's the whole goal, and you can only do it by absolute self-control, such that no matter how much conditions change, you don't change. You're always a Buddha at all times. The path of Pure Land says you don't have to take that long, difficult, frankly, in my estimation, impossible route. Instead, you can relax back into who you actually are, and allow yourself to be floated on the compassion of the primal vow of Amida Buddha. This is what then embraces us in all situations. So when I am on the airplane and feeling sorry for myself because, it sucks to travel on a plane, nonetheless, that compassion is embracing me. And when I am in the shower and I haven't yet bowed my head, it's still there. And then at the right moment, it'll come forward even more strongly. When I'm at work and grumbling, when I'm at home and relaxing, when I'm at the temple on Sunday, that compassion is with me at all times, so with all of us at all times. And this is a path that allows us to just relax and be people who aren't trying to climb the Mount Everest of Buddhism, but instead are floating along and being uplifted on the vow, letting ourselves be enabled to become aware and enabled to become grateful, rather than trying desperately with a death grip to hold on to that at all times. So this is my response to that. You've identified a real problem, but it's an inherent problem in our lives as human beings in a suffering world. And so we have two solutions. You could take this super hard path, which is a real reality. This is stuff the Buddha taught, and it is a very noble path, but it's super hard for almost everybody. Or you can take the Pure Land path and allow yourself to be floated in this way. That's my own approach to things. But all of Buddhism is wonderful and beautiful. So there are various paths. Okay, so I confused a second person. Should I take another question? So we're here. Yep, there's a hand.
I understand that you were here to give the Uno Memorial Lecture at IBS. And
Yeah.
The topic was engaged Buddhism.
That's right.
Do you have in a nutshell, definition of what engaged Buddhism is?
Sure. So, this is a kind of an academic talk. And as academics, we love to identify things, put labels on them, and then we can publish books about them. It's kind of our job. So because I like to have a job, I do this too. So engaged Buddhism is a thing that we've sort of labeled. What this really is, basically, is just Buddhism when it's being applied to society and the world and the problems that we experience on a larger scale, rather than Buddhism that's only being applied just to ourselves and me, my mind, my issues right now, right? That's basically what it comes down to, is applied Buddhism in this way. So Buddhism is a system for alleviating suffering. That's what Buddhism is. That's the definition of what Buddhism actually is. It's a system that's designed to lessen and hopefully eventually eliminate suffering. So the Buddha gave us instructions about how to do this. Very important instructions include working on ourselves, discovering what our minds are like, and this sort of thing, right? Because our self-centeredness is a fundamental reason for our suffering and for the suffering that we cause others, right? But suffering is not confined to only the fact that I'm such an egomaniac, right? Suffering also comes from causes and conditions beyond just that kokoro, right? So when there are structural conditions in the world that are a source of suffering for people, well, we Buddhists, we don't want people to suffer, so we can look at that. We can apply other lessons of the Buddha, of Shinran, and so on, to see how do we work with that sort of external conditions that cause suffering, while not neglecting the fact that, of course, always our internal conditions are very important in practicing the Dharma. So engaged Buddhism is looking out at social issues, at discrimination, at environmental problems, at these sort of things, and saying, well, what resources might the great Buddhist tradition have to help us to work on those things? In the same way that we are not going to transform ourselves into Buddhas, we are also not going to transform this samsara, the saha world, into the Pure Land. That's not something that we will be able to achieve during this lifetime. But through practicing Buddhism, we foolish beings can become somewhat better, can become somewhat happier, right? And also through applying Buddhism to the world, we can make the world somewhat better. We can make it less suffering, even if we do not have the ability to reach zero, right? So, I mean, we're here, we got to do something. So why not do these sort of things? It's a lovely way to experience practicing the Dharma as well. So that's what engaged Buddhism is about. Okay, everybody's super bored. There's no more hands. I think we can move on. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff Sensei, for wonderful questions and then wonderful responses. So I really appreciate you're here joining us and then share the Dharma today. So now I think time to conclude today's service. But before the conclusion, I would like to express my gratitude to the people who have made today's service possible. So first, Tegan, although she's not here, thank you, Tegan, for being a wonderful chairperson today. And then thank you, Tara, being here as a minister's assistant, and she led the sutra chanting today. Thank you, Tara. Arigatou gozaimashita. And then thank you, live stream team, your help during today's live streaming service. Arigatou gozaimashita. And then Dharma School teachers, Dharma School parents, for your help, guidance for the Dharma School students. Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you very much. And then thank you, Emiko-san and DI, for playing a wonderful music today. Thank you. And then thank you, April Toban, monthly group, for your help to prepare the refreshment in the social hall after the service. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much. Okay, so this concludes today's service, and then thank you everyone who joined the service in person and then virtually. So see you, people in person at the Jodo Shinshu Center next Sunday service. Okay, so please take care. Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you very much.